Hi. I want to say thank you, President Corey, and really thank you to the whole Biola community for supporting this project, for helping to bring it into existence. These are exciting days at Biola, and for me it's just a real honor and privilege to be along for the ride. I want to acknowledge also the three other members of the leadership team for the Center for Christian Thought, Todd Vasquez, Steve Porter, and Tom Crisp, at least two of whom are among the sharpest dressers on campus today. So, in my defense, this is my only suit. I think they had choices. This was it for me. This is one of those places where titles are misleading. From the very beginning, this has been a team effort and a collaborative project. And it's just among the greatest joys of my professional career so far to be working as closely as I get to with these guys. So what a deep joy this has been. I want to take just a couple of minutes and try to say, from my perspective, what it is, and some of this will complement what Dr. Corey has said, what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. I've had conversations over the last several months as the word gets out about the center. People come up, oh, I'm so excited about the center. I'm just so excited about the center. I've heard about it. It's wonderful, and just can't wait. And I'll say, oh, great, thank you. And then they'll say, now what is it exactly? So there's a lot of enthusiasm and perhaps a fair bit of curiosity too about what it is that we're doing. So let me take those up in reverse order, why it is that we're doing what we're doing, and then what it is that we're trying to do. Why does it exist? Well, in a nutshell, and this will be a bit of a mouthful, the center exists to facilitate first-rate, multidisciplinary, collaborative Christian research on the questions that matter most, and then to make that research available and accessible to both academic and non-academic audiences. So really just these two goals, to resource Christian research and then to make that research accessible and available. That's the project. So let me say something about each of those goals. First, resourcing Christian research. Why bother with a thing like that? Why resource Christian research? Well, Christianity, among other things, is a wisdom tradition that stretches back thousands of years. It's a tradition of enormous depth and power, and it's got a lot to contribute to contemporary discussions about the big questions that move culture. Questions like, who are we and what's our place in the world? What does a well-ordered life look like? What is ultimately true, good, beautiful, meaningful, significant, and the like? And at a place like Biola, of course, we're committed to teaching our students out of that wisdom tradition, aren't we? We're committed to teaching our students from this tradition. We talk a lot about how to do that well, how to teach well, how to deliver the content in our various disciplines in such a way that it'll take root in our students' lives and pull them deeper and deeper into the way of Jesus. So these are important questions. How do you teach this stuff well? How do you deliver the content in such a way that it'll stick? And those questions deserve our attention. But there's another question that deserves our attention, and it's this one. Whose content are we delivering when we go into our classes to teach? Whose content are we delivering? In our classes, we require our students to read books and scholarly articles. Right? And if we're doing our job well, we require them to read the books and the scholarly articles that are most important and influential in our fields. And so the question, who's being resourced to write those books and scholarly articles? See, if we leave it to our secular colleagues in research universities to write the most influential and important books and articles in our fields, it'll be their content. Answers to life's most important questions from their perspective that we have to deliver in our classes if we're to do our job well. See, if we just stick to teaching, as important as teaching is, and it really is tremendously important, if we just stick to teaching, we'll leave it to others to generate the content, and then it'll be their content from which we teach. So with the launch of the Center for Christian Thought, Biola positions itself, I think, to serve the academy by facilitating the creation of first-rate Christian scholarship across the various disciplines. And this, I think, in the long run, is a great, great good, both for our students and for the world. So we're resourcing Christian scholarship, but we're also passionate, as Dr. Corey was suggesting, about making that scholarship available and accessible to non-academic audiences. In many of our churches, there's a huge gap, that separates Christian scholars, or at least Christian scholarship, if not the people themselves, at least the work that they're doing, and the folks in the pew. Many in the church are just simply unaware of even the most basic contours of contemporary Christian thought on the most important questions. And we in the academy have the sometimes well-deserved, I suppose, reputation of being out of touch with the issues and ideas that move broader culture. So there's this gap between scholarship, Christian scholarship, and the church. And to my mind, it's a deeply unfortunate, it's an unfortunate gap. For both sides, it's unfortunate. If we allow the gap to persist, then Christian scholars risk squandering our energies on questions and issues that have no real bearing on life, on the Christian life. We risk getting caught up in intellectual fads that drive our disciplines and losing touch with the very real intellectual needs of our church. We risk operating in an ivory tower in the worst sense of that word. On the other side, if we allow the gap to persist, folks in our churches risk increasingly careless and shallow thinking about the questions that matter most. They risk a kind of pervasive anti-intellectualism that we're all familiar with. And as a result, they risk being too easily moved as a church by the ideas that shape and move secular culture. So with the launch of Biola's Center, with the launch of the Center for Christian Thought, Biola positions itself to serve the church in the Christian academy by building bridges to span this gap between the academy and the church. So the center exists to facilitate first-rate Christian scholarship and to make it available and accessible. That's the why. Now, what about the what? What is it exactly that we're doing to make all of that happen, or some of that happen anyway? Well, at the heart of the center is a residential fellowship program. Each year we'll select a theme that's important for Christian scholarship, for Christian scholars, and for the church, and for culture more broadly. And we'll pull together a team of researchers from across the disciplines to work collaboratively on research projects related to that theme. Roughly half of these research fellows will be Biola faculty who've been freed up from their teaching to work on their research and participate in the center. And the other half will be scholars from around the world who come to Biola for a semester or for a year to work on their projects. I should mention here in this connection that our first team of research fellows is now about a week old as a team. And it's just a spectacular team of folks. After just a week together, we're finding ourselves into rich intellectual community and fruitful discussion. All of their pictures and bios are up on the website at the center website. And let me just encourage you to find their picture and try to bump into them on campus. They're just wonderfully stimulating people that are here with us for some time. In any case, the center, it'll serve these fellows, serve our research fellows, by creating an environment conducive to collaborative research and writing. This includes the space upstairs that you'll have a chance to take a look at if you'd like to, as well as opportunities to interact with some of the leading thinkers of our day. Right now, for example, we have the just incredible privilege of participating in a 2-week seminar with Professors Alvin Plantinga and Nicholas Wolterstorff on the nature of Christian scholarship. It's an unbelievable opportunity. So first, we'll create an environment conducive to research and scholarship. And then secondly, we'll work with our fellows to communicate the fruits of their labor to the church and to broader culture. We'll have video interviews and podcasts and multi-view papers up on the website related to our theme each year. We'll host public lectures. We'll host lunches and other events for pastors and other Christian leaders to give them the opportunities to hear from Christian thought leaders. We'll have film festivals on our theme and an end-of-year conference every year, and more besides. So that's the what. It's a residential fellowship program that brings together a team of researchers and then a whole bunch of strategies for communicating the fruit of that research to broader culture. So that's what we're up to at CCT, and I just want to thank you again for joining us to celebrate this exciting moment. So thank you for coming.
Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Visit biola.edu to find out how Biola could make a difference in your life.